Hi guys, welcome back to Puck Talk. And in today's episode, we'll be discussing our quarter season playoff predictions. So let's get to it. In this episode, we'll pretty much be discussing who we think will make the playoffs. And I think now is a good time to do it because I think the stat is that like 77% of the teams in a playoff spot at Thanksgiving break stay in a playoff spot. So it's fair to base our predictions off these standings, I guess, right now. Let's do it. So we discussed our lists of the playoff teams before the podcast, and I'll say them now. Or Mark, you want to say them for each?
So for the terms of the side of the world, we have the Devils, Islanders, Canes, Bruins, Leaves, Tampa, Florida, and the Rangers.
Yeah, so we agreed on those before the podcast, and they aren't in any order. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not gonna talk about that.
so now we'll try and explain why we chose those teams for as playoff teams. Okay, so Devils, I don't think I need to do a lot of explaining.
They had like the best
Yeah.
run in that whole entire franchise.
Yeah, a lot would have to go wrong really fast for
They
them
they
to
have
somehow
to
drop.
each those young players have to literally act like their age and completely mentally break down after that one like loss, even though they just won a game recently.
Yeah, I think Devils are a lock. Yeah, I don't think there's much of an argument about that.
Mhm.
And the next, the Islanders.
I
Um,
think
yeah,
that the thing about the Islanders I see is that they are gonna definitely make the playoffs this year. I think that the way how they play is pretty good. It's pretty chill. They're not doing too bad. They're on a 3-game winning streak as of right now as well.
I
Do I
mean,
think they're gonna do anything well in the playoffs?
they are built for the playoffs, though.
Yeah.
Well, I think they're not like overperforming. It's just a team system. It's not like somebody's playing way over their heads on their team and like carrying the team on their head. But it's more of like a team effort, and it's a coaching style that's carrying them to the wins. So I don't think that's something that can, a breakdown mid-season and cause them to completely forget how to play and fall out of the playoffs. So
Hmm.
I think they're pretty much a lock at this point too. And
Yeah.
then third place we have Boston. Yeah, so Boston, well, not third place, they're not in order, but the third team we had was Boston. So yeah, the same as New Jersey. A lot would have to go wrong really
Yeah.
fast. And I think
This
I
this
think they're
team's
the
just
team that
phenomenal.
I think they're a team that's like the most guaranteed, I guess, to make the playoffs because they have the veteran leadership and they're doing really well. So I I wouldn't bet money against them, I guess. I guess there's like a 1% chance they miss, but 99% they'll make it.
Like each player is performing to like either good to high level just for their age, and also just like their roster is completely built around being a really solid team. No
Yeah.
real weak points in it at all.
Yeah, I don't see them going anywhere, so they're pretty much a lock. And then next we have Toronto. Same thing. A lot of these teams are just
The difference
playoff
between
teams.
Toronto though, like yes, Toronto are gonna be a shooting for the playoffs. However, Toronto has some shaky games, if we're gonna be honest here.
Half their decor is gone. I think Riley, Muzzin,
Yeah,
Brody. I think I don't know if 100% about Brody, but they're injured. So
yeah. They're gonna be fine for the playoffs and all, but I will like it is kind of looking shaky for them, but playoff bound, yeah.
yeah, I think they'll make the playoffs, but it'll be harder than last year because just of the injuries. And
Yeah,
Matthews isn't playing at the 60 goal pace again. So
that's just the leaves. Next up,
and then we have the Tampa Bay Lightning. Yeah, I don't see them missing.
you
I see
never
them missing.
that if they miss, that's kind of upsetting. Not just for
Yeah, yeah,
you, but just in general.
yeah,
Like runner up to the playoffs, I feel like that they should make it anyways. They
yeah.
still
I
they basically keep their core from last year, the year
Yeah,
before
there's
that,
no way they miss. I don't.
and the year before that. You know, the same
I
core that has won 2 Stanley Cups in a row.
I think they have the second longest playoff streak behind Pittsburgh. Maybe.
Okay.
Wait, no, I might be capping. No, no, no. That's wrong.
Well, whatever. We know that they're gonna make the playoffs. I don't think there's much of a doubt.
Yeah, there's not much of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Tampa's pretty much locked. And then we had okay, these last two teams were the first six we decided on were quite clear, I guess, and the last two we were kind of struggling with a bit. So last we had Florida, or seventh, I guess we had Florida.
Florida's gonna pick it up. Like
Yeah, they just have too much talent. I don't see them
they're
out
too
of all the teams
they're
that
too
have left.
talented to be this good.
To
They're
be
too
this bad.
talented. They should be able to make it.
Yeah,
Honestly,
out of all the teams that are left, and I mean, there's not too many very good teams left after.
like who?
After
Like
six.
we don't really have another choice in mind.
Yeah,
Because like if
we
we're
have to.
being honest here, our other options were like Montreal, Detroit.
I think their management will also do anything they can to make them get into the playoffs because they don't have the first round picks for like at least a couple seasons. So I think they have to. It's not an option for them to miss the playoffs. So I
Yeah,
think they'll make
especially
it. And they're far too skilled.
yeah,
And they showed
especially
last year that they're capable of, becoming President's Trophy winners. So I don't think making the playoffs this season should be a problem.
it's not
I think, yeah.
it's not
I,
a hard task for them considering the players on their team.
yeah.
And that's just gonna be the reason why like they're gonna make the playoffs over teams like Montreal, Detroit. All right, that's all. Oh wait,
yeah.
no, we got one more. We got one more team.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For yeah, just for Florida, I think they just got off to a bad start. They had like a bunch of they had a lot of turnaround on their team. So I think, yeah. So I think that would have if like Giroux left, Huberdeau left, Uyghur left. Those are three like high-end players, and it's hard to manage without them. I think they'll pick up like on their team chemistry after a bit.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just overall.
And
And
then,
now our last team in the East.
yeah, last team in the East was Rangers.
Yep.
So same as Florida. Out of the teams left, I think Rangers are up and coming, and they're rumored around Patrick Kane too. If they add him at the
Yeah,
deadline, that's a huge.
that's just gonna be really big for New
That
York, and
shoots
also
them
because of
into
the fact
like
like
not yeah
the Rangers don't exactly completely miss the playoffs.
yeah.
For
It's
being
not.
honest here, it's not really a thing for them.
They're
They
too
have the talent
talented.
on that team.
They got like they got a good decor, stacked offense, stacked goaltending. Well, probably the second best goalie in the world, I guess.
Yeah. Second best goalie. Woo!
And
Yeah, but
then
no, they do have the team. They have the team on paper. It's just like this season was kind of it was not the greatest start, but still I can see them just getting to the playoffs because the fact that it's the Rangers. They
yeah, I
have
think
they have the pieces. All they need to do is just perform well for the next like 3/4 of the season.
yeah. Especially if they get Kane, that shoots them into contending status. It's not
Exactly. It's
just
not just like if that's not wildcard status, that's actually like able to go for the
that.
cup.
Yeah. Imagine a lot top six with Panarin on your first line, Kane on your second line. Well, I don't even know if you can put Kane on the second line, but I like that'd
It
be
just
crazy.
depends on what they think. It depends on their system completely. But yeah, no. If
Okay,
they do have
yeah.
if those Kane rumors are true and they end up getting them, that's a huge swing for New York shots. Not just to get in the playoffs, but just to win the cup in general.
Okay, yeah. So those were our East teams. Just to recap, the 8 teams we think that will make it from the East are Devils, Islanders, Canes, the Bruins, Toronto, Tampa, Florida, and the Rangers. So those are our 8 from the East. And now let's move on to the West. Do you want to say the West teams now?
All right, for the Western Conference, not in order, because people get mad if we put this as the order.
Yeah.
We got Dallas, Colorado, St. Louis, Vegas, Flames, Kings, Oilers, and Jets.
Okay, yeah, those are 8. So same thing as the East. Let's go through them. So Dallas, number 1.
Jason Roberts. Jason Roberts.
Well,
Is
not
playing
number
really
1,
well.
the first team. Bro, that
Jason
team's
Roberts is
going
playing.
off.
Yeah, they're playing really well. Like their roster is playing pretty well. They have pretty good. They just overall have a good team. That's just
Yeah.
without a doubt in my mind.
Yeah, there's not. Yeah, there's
There's
not
not
much competition.
there's
Yeah,
not much of like a reason to say that they won't make the playoffs. Like what Jason Robertson's also just playing really well.
I mean they got. It's kind of weird though. Like Ben and Sagan, who they're paying 9.5 every year, have stepped down, but the team has somehow stayed afloat. It's impressive that they've dealt with those like horrible contracts and are still a top team right now. But
Well, yeah, nah, it's I think it's partially the reason of like, yeah, as a total, their team is just playing pretty well as a team.
yeah,
I don't think like the single player performances are really trying to shining through for this team. Like no
and
one is exactly like putting the load on their backs.
yeah, and I think they play the right way. They play a good defensive way. Like it's sustainable. It's not
Yeah.
like high flying offense that sometimes can fall off in the mid season.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's defensive, so I think they should be fine.
Yeah.
And then the second team we picked was the Colorado Avalanche. Yeah, I don't think we need to say much about that.
Former Stanley Cup champions.
Yeah.
Really good core in general. They just have good players. The start of the season is kind of shaky for them, but guess what? It's last year's champions. Guess what? It's basically the same core, almost the same core, I should say, because they lost Kadri and I forgot the goalie. Whatever. They're still gonna make the
Kemper.
playoffs.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
there's no
Oh yeah,
question
wait,
about it.
Kemper, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Kemper.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Mhm.
overall, it's the Avs. What do you want us to say? There's nothing too shocking if they do make the playoffs.
Yeah. And the third team we picked was, I guess this one's a bit questionable. Blues, the St. Louis
The
Blues.
Blues somehow, some way, make it to the playoffs and give teams a run for their money, or just win against a good team.
Okay, I don't think it's fair. Okay, they're 10-10 right now, and they're out of a playoff spot right now. But in the last 10,
Their
they're
core
7-3-0.
though on paper is really strong.
Yeah, I think it was just they just had a bad slump.
Yeah.
They
Bennington
yeah.
did not have a good start to the season either, and we know him as one of the better goalies in this league.
No, I think it was Bennington had a great start, I think. Let me see his
There
stats.
was some games where he was kind of iffy though, if you remember.
I think it was the other goalie that let them down this
Was that
year.
Grease? I'm pretty sure it was Bennington.
Let's search up the Blues goalie stat. Hmm. So the Blues goalie stats. Yeah, he's 9-7. I guess I can see that. Yeah, I guess.
Like
Yeah.
Bennington has had a rough start and also had like really, really shaky games. I remember like there was like a 4 goal, like they got scored on like four to like just a lot of goals straight. And then there was an incident where he was like talking bad to the LA Kings.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's true. But I think he's picked it up now. He's put it back together. Okay, his last 5 game save percentage. Against Tampa, 846, Buffalo, 813, Anaheim, 964, Anaheim, 938, Chicago, 926. I mean, that's pretty decent.
Mhm.
So, okay.
At least it's going. It's going.
Yeah, it's trending upwards. I can
Yeah.
see them, I can see him pulling it together. Yeah, so Blues, I think they're underperforming, and I think they'll like perform to what they should be by the end of the season.
Yeah, makes sense. They always find a way in the playoffs. They always find a way to do something in the playoffs.
Yeah. And then so that's the Blues, and then our next team was Vegas.
What do you want me to say?
Yeah, they're a wagon
What do
this
you
year.
want me to say other than like, oh my goodness, look at this. Every single player on their team is performing.
Yeah,
Quite literally every single one of them to like a really high level. Like there's no one on that team is a
Logan
weakness.
Thompson's carrying, bro. Not carrying, but like he could have very well made or broken their season this year.
Yeah, no.
The fact that he's playing good is
11-3. What the hell?
yeah.
Nah, that's crazy stat line.
So I don't think much needs to be said about the Knights either.
No, they're I don't know what to say other than they're a good team. Jack Eichel's playing well, Mark Stone's playing well, Petrangelo's playing well. Like, what do you want from them?
Yeah, that's true.
They're proving a lot of people wrong right now. Is all we want to say. Is all I want to say.
I don't know. Okay, well, last compared to last year, I guess.
Yeah, last year when they kind of
I guess they had a bit of a chip on their shoulder too, that they had to prove something this season too. And so that's Vegas. And then next was Flames. This one was kind of questionable too, I guess. Do we?
Yeah, no, we keep
we
them
we
here.
decided that they should be in the playoff spot, but like this was one of the teams that I was most uncertain about, I guess.
It because like the thing about the Western Conference is that it's also kind of weird. Because like who else will we put in this position right now? Like in my
That's true.
opinion, some other
That's true.
teams in this conference are overperforming.
They're the best of the bad teams, I guess.
Yeah.
Because
Like
I don't
oh
think, yeah, because honestly, I'm not high on the Flames right now. Markstrom has, ever since the Edmonton series, he's really fallen off. Connor McDavid kind of, or I guess, at the Edmonton Oilers together kind of ruined him. He hasn't been the same.
yeah,
I'm
but
not
like
too happy with
in
them.
general though, I like if we're thinking about some other teams that we didn't put on this list, they're not playing like I think some of them are overperforming and other teams on the list that we could talk about are underperforming on that list. I wonder which team I'm talking about. Um yeah, no, just in general, I think the Flames do make it over some other teams that we could have talked about instead.
Yeah. So we only talked about the bads of the Flames somehow, and then discussing why they should make
Well,
the
it's because
playoffs.
of the fact that the West, I mean, like, who else do we talk about in this position? I think the Jets fall off. I think the Kraken fall off. What do you want?
Okay. So the Flames, I guess the roster is
Well, they have
they
what?
they
They
were
have,
crazy last year.
yeah.
But there was a
And they
lot of turnover
should even be better because of the fact they also added Kadri to their team. They've added some.
at the price
Whoa.
of what
I just started looking at the stats.
they added Huberto. But I think when Huberto picks it up, I think they'll be back on track.
Yeah, they had
Kind of been
Kadri, Huberto,
he's kind of got to get used to the system, I guess, that
Foley,
they're playing.
Home. No, okay, wait. No, they got the talent. They definitely have the
He
talent to
got the
act.
talent, but I think the main player is Huberto. He needs to pick it up.
Yeah. I just
That
started looking at the stats right now.
yeah, I think Huberto is what they wanted to replace the Goodrow,
Hmm.
and he just hasn't been that yet. I think Kadri was to replace Tachuk.
Don't worry. They'll pick him up
I think they'll pick
eventually.
it up, yeah. And then next we have the Los Angeles Kings. I love the Kings. They're they're such a good mix of veterans and then young players. They're the perfect example of how to run a rebuild.
Yeah, no, the Kings have been playing very good this season in
Them and the
general.
Rangers. Those two rebuilds are insane. The way
Like, yeah,
they
no, without a doubt. They've been playing pretty well this season, actually.
yeah. I think they're in the perfect situation. Their young players have room to grow, or I guess, get better. And their veterans won't let them like get distracted or lose confidence, I guess, at this point of the season.
It's crazy to think
So I
that
think they're
all these
perfect.
players still, like Drew Doughty, Kopitar, Jonathan Quick, are still playing like this well in the year 2022, 2023, almost 2023.
Yeah, I
It's
think
crazy.
age will factor into it too. I think they have a drive to win because they know they don't got much left in the tank right now.
Yeah, like
So
looking
yeah,
at this
I
team,
think they want to go for it now.
all their talents on this team have like a mix of need to prove something and needing to like evolve as as players
Yeah.
themselves. So
They
like
only get better. Like they have guys like Byfield and
yeah.
who was it? Villardi, I think, came out.
Yeah.
He's been huge this season.
Just
They can only get better. So
yeah,
I think they're easy to lock into a playoff spot.
more than
And,
Calgary. But
and
yeah,
then yeah,
exactly.
so that's the Kings. And then next was Oilers.
Yeah,
So
well,
I think it speaks to the incompetence of the Oilers management that they are not in a playoff spot right now. Like, how do you?
It,
Like
it
you have
is
the two best players in
true.
the world and you're still struggling to make the playoffs.
Exactly. That is.
So I didn't put them in the playoff spot because of how good the team's roster is on paper or
We're talking about how good
yeah,
McDavid is.
it's just two, McDavid and Draisaitl.
Yeah,
I
we're
think those
talking.
guys will roll their way into a playoff spot, but it's kind of annoying that they're saving the GM's neck for so long.
It's really weird to just talk about this team as like, yeah, no, we're not thinking that this team's gonna make it because of the overall team. We're thinking about it just because of the fact that McDavid and Draisaitl are really good.
Yeah, but the
Are
way
ju-
that I see it, if they have to try this hard to make the playoffs, they're not gonna do much in the
they're
playoffs.
not. Yeah, not
Because you'll be burning McDavid and Draisaitl out because you'll be playing them like 25 minutes every night to get the win.
like if they make the playoffs off of just McDavid and Draisaitl's performance this whole entire year, amazing job, phenomenal job. Are they gonna actually perform in the playoffs? If they do, I'll send McDavid like a $10.
I hope that okay. The one thing they got going for them is that Campbell's been not been great, so he can pick it up. We've seen it happen. He can go on hot streaks. I think the beginning of last season he was like a Vezina candidate, so I can see him picking it up. So I think if he plays at like a decent level, I guess. Let's look at the Edmonton goalie stats.
Haven't they started Skinner more?
Yeah, they've had to, but they paid Campbell like $5 million to play.
Yeah, that's a good point. They did get him from Toronto as well. He
Yes, so
also
I
did
think
play a good season, a good series against Tampa.
so. Yeah, I think he has it in him. He just has to pull it together.
I think it's like a Demko situation where he
Oh,
can do
Campbell's
it.
so bad.
Oh, you just saw his stats. Where are they?
He's okay. So Jack Campbell, 11 games, 6-5, which is decent.
At
But
least he's
his goals
positive.
against average is 415. Save percentage is 876. And he was supposed to be the solution in net. So I think
He was supposed
that's
to be
why.
the. He was supposed to replace Mike Smith.
Yeah, but then Stuart Skinner has a 921 save percentage. So
What
it's
the
pretty much
hell?
so,
Nah, respect.
I don't know
That's a
how
huge
if you can
dub.
blame the team defense on that. I think you blame Jack Campbell, and if he can provide 900 for 900 goaltending, I guess. I think the Oilers
That's
should be trending in the right direction. It's not a lot to ask out of him, considering how
considering
good his
how much he
potential is.
got paid. One,
He has the
two. We've
potential.
seen him play pretty well
Yeah, so I
before.
think once he turns it around, the team should go up, and McDavid and Draisaitl should get some
I
help.
don't think McDavid and Draisaitl go down either. Yeah, so
Yeah, so those are the reasons I think they have potential to turn it around. And so that's the Oilers, and the last team in the West that we had were the Winnipeg Jets.
I
Uh,
it, it's another
so
thing where it's like, oh, Western Conference. Ooh, what the heck is going on? So
I think I think Maurice might have been the issue in Winnipeg. I I gotta give them the benefit of the doubt for this season. And they stripped the Wheeler of the captaincy. I think that was good for them too. Changed the culture in the room a bit. So I think this season they're trending in the right direction, and and Hellebuck is back to Vezina caliber form. So I can see them easily not easily, but I can see them making the playoffs. And they got some really young talent too. That's good. I can see them coming up, like Connor and Ehlers.
yeah, I'm just looking at these stats right now. Who else are we considering? Okay, fair. Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, the Jets being in the spots sounds good enough. Yeah.
I think they've put themselves in a good position, like up to today, like in the
Yeah,
standings. So,
I agree with you that they will make the playoffs just because of the fact that like considering who else there is and also considering how they're playing, they do make it. Like I don't think I won't doubt you there.
yeah.
Just
So are we good on these teams for
yeah,
now?
no, it seems pretty good. Like there's nothing I can really complain about.
Okay, yeah. So then to summarize the West, the 8 teams we had making the playoffs were Dallas, the Colorado Avalanche, St. Louis Blues, Vegas, Flames, Kings, Oilers, and the Jets. So yeah, those are teams we expect to make the playoffs. Uh, do you want to do we want to go through all of them, or are we good for that?
I think we're okay. I don't think we need to go through all of it.
Okay, yeah, so we're good for that. Okay, and yeah. So do you want to discuss the notable misses that we left out?
Yeah, sure. And we might as well talk about who we could have put
So
on.
in the East, I think we left out Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
Washington, and I guess the Wings because they're in a playoff spot right now. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's go through the Wings first because they're the easiest to explain. So yeah, they are third in the Atlantic right now, but I think there's another year of development left in their process before they make it. That's
I
pretty much
don't
my reasoning.
see. I think that the teams that we did mention is just gonna honestly do better over time during the season, just considering the fact of who the teams we mentioned are
Yeah.
as well. I think that Detroit just barely misses it just because of the fact that they need that development.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't think they're there yet. And then Pittsburgh and then Washington. I think okay, let's go through Pittsburgh first. Oh, let's go through Washington. They're easier to eliminate. So Washington, they have a lot of injuries.
It's just for Washington right now, it's very unfortunate the way how things are trending.
I don't know let's see the Washington injury. I know they have a lot, but I don't know specifically.
Like I think that what they're on what they're in their last
They're
10, they're like 4-5-1 or something like that.
yeah, that's perfect.
Oh, okay.
They're on a win two streak though.
Okay, so earlier was even worse. Okay. So
Oh
yeah,
wow.
like
So the Washington injuries are Dmitry Orlov, Tom Wilson, Backstrom, Hagelin, and Brown.
how
That's
does
quite
it
a
say?
big.
Do we know
If
exactly for how long they're gone for? Because those are really notable players considering,
they
and
are
also
on
like
IR, so that's
well,
probably quite a bit of time. So
that is
you're
really bad news for
missing.
Washington in general.
So you're missing four roster forwards. So you're missing pretty much a whole line, probably your entire second line. I'm guessing.
I'm just gonna say this right now for all Washington fans that do end up watching this video for some reason. Yeah, at least Obi gets 800.
Yeah, I don't think they can go through the injuries. I don't think this means that Washington is done. I think next season they can come back and make the playoffs because they won't have the injuries next
They
season.
still have the
Hopefully.
talent. The talent will
Yeah.
be back.
It's too much of a blow. I don't think they're deep. They're a deep enough team to withstand that many blows. We saw it happen to Vegas last year. There's only so many injuries a team can take before, they give up, I guess. Not give up, but they
Not
can't
give up,
keep
but
it.
just like wear down just because of the fact of who they lost.
Yeah, like how much can you expect Ovechkin to do a night? He's aging. He can't single-handedly carry the team on his back.
He's gonna score about 2 goals a game, and that's it.
Hopefully. Okay. Yeah, so Washington, that's the reasoning. And then Pittsburgh, this was kind of a tough one. I think it came down to Pittsburgh or the Rangers, I guess, or the
I
Islanders.
believe in the Rangers more, and that is my opinion, and I will stick to that opinion.
Well, Rangers I get, but I guess people might wonder why we put Pittsburgh over the Islanders.
That is true.
That is true.
I
But
think the
okay,
only
Pittsburgh,
reason that I can say is that the Islanders as a team has been performing pretty good.
Islanders,
Uh,
yeah.
like
Islanders, I think. Okay, Pittsburgh has been falling off for years now. Like, how long has it been since they won a playoff series? Did they win the first round last year? Without it would suck if they did, because then what I said is wrong.
who made it to the second round? That it was Florida, Tampa, Rangers, Boston, right?
Yeah, so they lost first round, yeah, and they lost first round the year before too. So I think they are falling off, and we saw the losing streak they had this season.
Oh yeah. I
I
remember what
simply
you're talking
don't.
about.
I simply don't see them. I think it's time for them to take a step back. They doubled down on the core this
I
offseason too with Malkin, Letang, and Crosby.
Okay, yeah, no, at some point I think that they should just go into a rebuild mode soon because how long will they have that for? Not
I don't
long
think they
enough.
can
And
win.
honestly, if it's not enough for you to get past the first round, they need to make some changes if they want to actually get to where they want.
That's true. Okay, so I think that's the most controversial opinion we would have had. Islanders versus Pittsburgh. I think Islanders are a team on the rise and Pittsburgh are a team on the decline. So it's perfect timing, pretty much. Well, Islanders have been good for years, but I think now with the new coach and new system, I think they will be a bit better. And Pittsburgh, I'd see age like wearing them down. I don't think they should have doubled down on the core this offseason. They maybe should have let maybe not Malkin, but they maybe should have let. I don't know actually.
Well,
How do you
it's
let Malkin or
I
Letang
think
walk?
you would
It's
want
hard
to
to let
keep.
them walk.
Yeah, exactly. Like they've literally been a part of this team for like basically 2 decades at this point.
I think it was a
Almost two
lose-lose
decades.
situation at that point. You let them walk, everybody blames you. You keep them, you miss the playoffs, everybody blames you anyways.
Exactly. I think I think you just keep them for the ride and then rebuild.
Just bite the bullet on that one. And then yeah, so yeah, that's the reasoning for Pittsburgh. I think they're just aging.
We gotta talk about our Western Conferences misses.
Yeah, let's go over
Cause
those.
like
So best there's not a lot, I'm guessing. I guess the
yeah,
only notable ones are Seattle.
Seattle.
That's kind of, that can cause some
That,
controversy, and
that I think
Nashville,
that the Seattle
Minnesota.
one is about the most we'll get from that. Because every other team has almost been clear cut. If I
Well,
was if
well,
I
Nashville
wanted
and
to
Minnesota,
really
I've seen
meme
people
in this
like.
video, I would say, but I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs at all at this point. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie. Looks terrible. But yeah, no, only the Kraken are the only reasonable ones that we could have replaced with the ones that we think. But like, I'm not gonna lie, the teams we named are the type of teams that also pulled through into the playoffs. The Kraken are relatively still a new franchise team.
I don't think they have the star. I think they need the star player.
That is also very true.
Like they are playing by like committee, I guess. They have 4 strong lines, but I think you need a star to push them to get into playoffs.
You need you need like that star player to actually push you through to get to that position where we can start talking about you over like who did we say? Calgary?
Yeah, Calgary, Edmonton.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
fair.
lose. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't see them. I think Vegas ruined our expectations for expansion teams. I think, yeah, I don't think,
After that one season where Vegas
yeah,
decided to go all the way to the end.
yeah, I think Seattle is overperforming this season. I think they'll fall off a bit, and just that the teams under them have been underperforming.
Yeah,
I
like
think
the
just
Flames and Oilers.
yeah, I think they'll rise up and the Seattle will fall. And I think people would have. I think you can argue for Nashville or Minnesota too, but
I don't
Nashville,
think they have enough to be over Edmonton and
yeah,
Calgary either.
Nashville only made it last year because everybody had career years. And for them to make it again, I think that needs to happen again. So you need to be even better. So the team would have to be better than last year. Wait, no. So the team would only be better than last year if the people that had career years repeated, which is unlikely. People don't usually follow
No one's
back on that.
gonna no like that's gonna probably be their prime year, their best
Yeah,
season.
they can't. I think they got to rebuild. They got to go back now. It's not that team isn't going anywhere. They're expecting people to overperform. That's not a way you build a hockey team. You build it on, you got to have more confidence.
You build it by a total combination of players' results.
You
You
can't
build
just
it
be
around
like,
a
yeah.
system.
You can't be like, I'm going to expect Duchesne to put up 40 goals because that's not, that's not happening. On an average season, he's maybe a 25 goal player. And then, yeah,
Yeah, nah. I just think that the only team that we could other realistically talk about is just the Kraken, but that's
yeah.
about it.
And then, okay, so I'm just going to explain my reasoning not for Minnesota too, because I know people have them in. So Minnesota is kind of hard when you have the huge chunk of cap hit going towards Jack Parise's and Sutter's buyouts. I think they're in a tough position. But I love Kaprizov though. I'd love to see him, he's amazing to watch, but I don't think Vod will make it in. Too much. There's like, what is it like? How much dead cap do they have? It's quite a bit. I don't want
It's
to. I
a,
don't know the exact number, but it's quite a bit.
it's something that I wouldn't know, but I
It's a.
know it's a lot.
I think it's
It's
enough to get a top 6 player or a top 4D man. So yeah.
we'll see how this goes. we'll get back to this halfway through the season
Yeah.
and see how everything has played out. And if we are right, we're right. If we're wrong, we can still talk about it. That'd be a great thing to talk about. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's about all.
Really confident about these teams. Yeah, thanks for giving us a listen, guys, and please like and subscribe and share with your friends if you like.